Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
A warm welcome and a hearty good day to everyone of this class, especially to our respected gorgeous professor, Ma'am Nerissa Malco Beatriz. This is Jenny Reyes Literal, a secondary school teacher too and a guidance advocate of Gonzalo Aler National High School, Kapalonga District, Division of Camarines Norte. It is my pleasure today to talk with you about systemic theories. My first point concerns, before we go on to our discussion, let's take a look the difference between a theory and an approach. These two concepts relate to scientific research and understanding through in different ways. When we say theory, it is an explanation for how facts relate to one another, while an approach is a methodology for obtaining those facts in the first place. So a theory is a framework for understanding relationship between observable facts. So what does systematic theory mean? Systemic theory is the interdisciplinary study of systems, which are cohesive groups of interrelated, interdependent parts that can be natural or human-made. Every system is bounded by space and time, influenced by its environment, defined by its structure and purpose, and expressed through its functioning. A system may be more than the sum of its parts if it expresses synergy or emergent behavior. So meaning to say that systemic theory, ito yung ugnayan ng higit sa isang larang ng kaalaman sa pag-aaral ng mga sistema na kung saan ay magkakaugnay, pagtutulungan ng bawat bahagi at ito ay likas o kaya ay gawa ng tao. So the goals of systemic theory are to model a system's dynamics, constraints, conditions, and to elucidate principles such as purpose, measure, methods, tools that can be discerned and applied to other systems at every level of nesting and in a wide range of fields for achieving optimized equifinality. People who adhere to systems thinking or the systemic perspective believe it is impossible to truly understand a phenomenon by breaking it up into its basic components. So they believe rather that a global perspective is necessary for comprehending the entire phenomenon. Accordingly, individual thinking, feeling, and behavior are best understood when examined in relationship to the role they play within a person's family or other important social networks. What I can see as the main point of systemic theory: does changes in any part of the system affects the other parts? Of course, changing one part of a system may affect other parts or the whole system. It may be possible to predict these changes in patterns of behavior. For systems that learn and adapt, the growth and the degree of adaptation depend upon how well the system is engaged with each environment. Some systems support other systems, maintaining the other system to prevent failure. Next is the description of systemic theory. A system is characterized by a group of parts that interact to form a coherent whole. Systems have distinct boundary, separating them from external elements and distinguishing between inputs or factors that impact the system and outputs or effects and products of the system. I'd like you to think about the significance of systemic theory. What is the importance of systemic theory? Theories help counselors understand the dynamics of human behavior and choose therapeutic approaches appropriate to specific clients and situations. It also provides a powerful method for the description of homeostatic systems, that is, systems in which feedback controlled regulation process occur. Since human goal-directed behavior is regulated by such processes, systems theory is also very useful for psychological research. Next concern is the purpose of systemic theory. Systemically focused counselors work to revise social network dynamics that influence a client's undesirable thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Now let us talk about the function of systemic theory. A notable dynamic of systemic theories is its emphasis that a family or community plays a vital role in its own recovery and psychological health. As a result, families, couples, or members of an organization are directly involved in their own therapy to resolve an issue, and individual participants can begin transforming their own behavior to be more adaptive and productive. Next is the principle of systemic theories. Now, systemic theory has been applied in the field of psychology, where it is called system psychology. People who view psychology through the lens of systems theory see individuals as seeking homeostasis within their system or groups. To create a system that works for all members, the expectations, needs, desires, and behaviors of each person within it must be considered. When issues arise, these are attributed to breakdowns in systemic interaction rather than deficiency of one person. Let's come now to systemic theory focus. So what is the focus of systemic theory? Systemically focused counselors work to revise social network by dynamics that influence a client's undesirable thoughts, feelings, and behavior. A systematic theory is hence a theoretical perspective that analyzes a phenomenon seen as a whole and not as simply the sum of elementary parts. The focus is on the interactions and on the relationships between parts in order to understand an entity's organization, functioning, and outcomes. For all we know, the founder of systemic theory is Prof. Beer Bromoller. Bromoller has established himself as one of the great international theorists of our age and should be commended for his highly sophisticated and intellectually articulated treatise. At the same time, it is a book that is sure to become an instant classic in the field of international relations. Bromoller's is the great powers and the international system. Systemic theory and empirical perspective accomplishes what no other scholarly work has effectively done by bridging the agent structure gap and arguing for a truly systemic theory of international relations. Neither structural theories nor agent-based theories can adequately account for the fact that the system influences the behavior of states and states act to shape the system. Now, let us talk about the systemic theory in counseling. Systemic therapy seeks to identify deeply entrenched patterns within an individual's relationships and also with family members. The process helps to uncover the ways in which members communicate and behave within a system based on beliefs about their respective roles. In addition, systemic approach to teaching and learning, or the so-called SATEL, is based on constructivist principles and involves the creation of closed cluster concepts, maps called systemic diagrams. The systemic approach to teaching and learning technique encourages deep learning as opposed to rote learning. Meaning of rote learning, the memorization of information based on repetition. Furthermore, systemic approach refers to analysis methods, a way to handle a complex system with a global point of view without focalizing on details. So it aims for a better understanding of complexity without simplifying reality too much. What does systemic mean in therapy? It also seeks to identify deeply entrenched patterns and seeks to understand the individual in relationship with others rather than in isolation. The individual is regarded as part of a larger unit or system. For example, a couple, a family, an organization, or a community. So, this therapy is not directive, rather individuals learn how to recognize patterns for themselves with the support of the therapist. So, it is a short or long-term treatment. Who uses it? Systemic therapy used by psychotherapists and counselors. Why would someone use it? Systemic therapy focuses on understanding and recognizing unhealthy patterns and relationship dynamics so that they can be altered within existing systems rather than examining origins of those patterns. Next, let us talk about the different types of family and therapy. We have strategic family therapy, structural family therapy, human validation process family therapy, and Gottman method couples therapy. So what is strategic family therapy? Strategic family therapy is a form of family therapy that seeks to address specific problems that can be addressed in a shorter time frame than other therapy modalities. In strategic family therapy, the therapist develops techniques for solving problems specific to the family's interactions and structure. The therapist sees the problem as part of a sequence of interactions of those in the individual's immediate social environment. This approach to therapy was originally developed by Salvador Minuchin and has become one of the dominant forms of family intervention. Now, what structural family therapy can help with? Structural family therapy can be helpful for many families, but it is often recommended in situations or life events that involve families affected by trauma, divorce, separation or remarriage, blended families, intergenerational families, single-parent families, and when one family member is affected by a mental health condition such as depression, anxiety, substance use, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Families affected by chronic illness or disability, significant life changes such as changing careers, coming out, or moving. Any family that is coping with tension or conflict can potentially benefit from structural family therapy. Vulnerable families faced with readjustments, cost of shifting roles, changed norms, and new demands may benefit from this type of therapy, which has been shown to help empower and strengthen the entire family system. The benefits of structural family therapy. First, families struggling with conflict can benefit from this type of therapy for many reasons. Some of the ways it may help include corrects imbalances within a family, establishes healthy boundaries, help individuals improve their reactions to changing demands, improves communication, improves hierarchies within the family system, increases parental competence and satisfaction, improves relationship dynamics, reduces anger and resentment. Structural family therapy recognizes that many aspects of a family structure, including behavior patterns, routines, habits, and communication, can contribute to this function. However, this approach to therapy can help families become more stable and improve support to individual family members who may need extra help by working to address these issues. It can be beneficial for families that have dealt with some significant change in their lives. For example, this might involve the death of a family member, a change in the family structure through a divorce, or some trauma such as interpersonal violence or an accident. So what is the effectiveness of structural family therapy? So it has been shown to be effective at helping to address problems within families. Studies have also demonstrated the efficacy of this type of therapy. According to the research, a 2019 study looking at the impact of family therapy on adolescents with mental health problems and their families found that therapy incorporating structural family therapy offered several benefits. Example of this, the results indicated that after treatment, teens exhibited fewer externalizing and internalizing symptoms. So in terms of other improvements, parents also reported increased family cohesion, better parental practices, and greater perceived as parent. A small 2020 case study found that structural family therapy was an effective approach for improving. The next type of family therapy is the human validation process model, is a systemic therapy approach that focuses on family growth and health rather than dysfunction and pathology. Hallmark of this theory include the use of self-disclosure, therapeutic risk-taking, touch, nurturance, and personal congruence. The last one is the Gottman method, is an approach to couples therapy that includes an assessment of the relationship and integrates research-based intervention based on the sound relationship house theory. The goals of Gottman method couples therapy are to disarm conflicting verbal communication, increase intimacy, respect, and affection, remove barriers that create a feeling of stagnancy, and create a heightened sense of empathy and understanding within the context of the relationship. So in this point of time, I will give you the brief summary of our discussion today about the systemic theories. So systemic theories are those that explore the interaction of units, people, animals, planets with their environments. Despite being fairly common in other disciplines, systemic theories are exceptionally rare in political science. Systemic theory is concerned with the web of connections between persons and world, self and others. From there, the counselor's task is to determine through continued training and experience which models best fit their personal view of human function and change, their preferred style of communication, and the needs of the client population they are currently working with and or the client population they plan to work with in the future. Now, I'd just like to finish with the words of a famous scientist. Yet, we act as if simple cause and effect is at work. We push to find the one simple reason things have gone wrong. We look for the one action or the one person that created this mess. As soon as we find someone to blame, we act as if we've solved the problem. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your listening. God bless.